add, yes, give permission. Apparently somebody probably sued somebody, and this is how we got to this point, right, of recording in progress. You guys had a good power up last Thursday. Thank you, Valencia, for that. And there we go. I muted somebody. And we are in a new week. In fact, we are, you guys, 46% through the sales year, because guess what? The last month of the year, you're not putting anything that's really probably going to close that month, right? So 46% through the sales year. Let me give you your data. All right, get ready to write, because this is the stuff you want to talk about on your listing appointments, on recruit appointments, on buyer consultations, when you're competing for an agent referral, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because you guys have a very powerful regional effect, not just local effect. Okay, so here is what we've got. We've got 90 agents, 90 in our neck of the woods here, Texas, BKT. 19 of those agents have joined us in the last 90 days, you guys. So that means there's 71 agents, if I'm doing the math right, I think it is, right? 71 agents who have been with us like 90 days through like, I don't know, 10 years or whatever, right? So out of those 71 agents, because we know that's where probably the bulk of the deals are coming from, I want to give you some data. We're carrying 70 listings, 70 listings. We are representing 370 buyers, 370 buyers. Okay, if you add those together and divide it by the agents who have been through launch, that is 6 clients per agent, you guys, 6 clients per agent. Pretty good. You guys have 261 pendings right now, 261 pendings. That's basically 4 pendings per person. That's pretty good, right? We are at $108 million pending volume. That means your average price point right now is $414,000 in pendings, right? That's a very big average. You guys have closed 440 units, you guys. You're on the path of 1,000 units this year for the first time. Pretty massive. That is like top 5 in Texas. Pretty good. That is 3 homes per day. You guys are closing 20 homes per week. Like that is like, there's very few people who could beat that, guys. 162 million closed. 162 million closed. That means 1 million like per day, essentially, right? And your average on closings, you guys, is 368. Now, here's a fun fact for you. I looked it up last night. Texas as a whole, you take all of Texas, average price point, according to Texas Association of Realtors, for all of Texas, the median is 274, which sounds kind of crazy. Like, where can you even buy a 274 house? Apparently you can in some places. So our average is 368 as a group. Texas's average is 274. So we're outpacing that right now. And the good news is we have closed $4.5 million in GCI. This is what makes everything go around. And like, you guys get to get paid, our staff gets to get paid, our expenses get paid, and Ben is happy because there's a profit, right? And that is a $2 million and a quarter, $2.25 million that our agents on this call have already made, right? That is big. That's only in 5 months, guys. That's not like over the course of a year. It's 5 months. So I'm excited about that. There are 140,000 realtors in Texas. You guys are in the top 1%. Like, make sure that if you're lacking confidence, boy, man, your confidence should come from the fact that together we are a super, super powerful force. All right. So I've got kind of like a little, it's a different kind of power up this morning, because let me see how I want to position this. Okay. So it's kind of an interesting direction. And what I mean by that is we're going to go back to the basics, but not for the reason that you would think, right? Not like I'm like, hey, we got to go like lead generate more. It's more of, all of us are working so hard. I actually asked like a few of our top agents, like, hey, like what do we need to talk about for the next like few sessions in the summer, and they gave me such a good list. So I have guests the rest of this month coming on to teach topics that will level us up, which I am super excited about. So I want to launch like this level up type of series with a secret to success that we already know, yet we don't time block, right? So much of our exhaustion right now, and I'm hearing it from everybody, is like we're working really hard, but not necessarily always working smart. So the secret to managing, of course, our energy and our burnout is managing our time. So here's what I mean. Ben says two things. If you want to write them down, Ben says two things. He says, number one, he says, we complicate things to justify our own inaction. We complicate things to justify our own inaction. And the second thing he says is we stop doing the things that made us successful. We stop doing the things that made us successful. Who's ever heard that from Ben ever before? Like, I'm not the only one, right? Okay, cool. Chris says one thing that I really like. He says, you want to write this one down. It's a model, not a menu. It's a model, not a menu. I see some smiles because you guys all know, you guys have heard it before. It's a model, not a menu. So here's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the dreaded idea of the prospecting side of our business, the open house side of our business. And so why is that dreaded? Well, like as soon as we can give up prospecting, we do, right? We like, oh man, the second we have like enough momentum, we're like, okay, woo, finally get to stop prospecting, woohoo. And then the second we have more business, we're like, oh my God, thank God I don't have to do open houses every weekend, woo, right? Like who's ever done that? Nobody ever. You guys are perfect. Thank you for some honest people. Okay, awesome. So here's why we're talking about it today. I don't want you to think about it just from a lead generation perspective. I want you to think about it from the perspective of the number one thing all of our leaders are hearing right now is that we are exhausted, right? Oftentimes, though, the things we stop doing as soon as we see some success are the very things that manage our time the best. And what I mean by that is when we get away from the model and justify why we're getting away from the model, we start picking up other stuff off, like we start picking it off the lead gen menu, right? So I'm bringing it up for two things. Number one, write it down. Working with sellers takes so much less time than working with buyers. Now, I'm not saying don't work with buyers. I'm saying that if you're exhausted, you should listen up and remind yourself working with sellers takes so much less time than working with buyers. And number two, you can control the types of buyers you work with by hosting open houses in areas of town that you personally like and price ranges that make the most sense for you. So if you change those two things, if you spent time finding listings and controlling the market, and number two, if you controlled your buyer demographic by hosting open houses at the price point and areas you want, I'd probably bet you like $500 right now that within like maybe 30 days, you'd be feeling a little bit differently about your business and your energy. So once you write down these topics, in the coming weeks, we're going to talk about topics that some of our top agents wanted to really dive deeper into. A couple of things are drawing an audience and close business consistently from social media using video. Another one is impactful scripts for buyers who are unsure and maybe even unaware of how to win in this market. We're going to talk about nailing the buyer consultation in order to limit exhaustion for buyers and for the agents and adding solutions there. We're going to talk about absentee owner scripting. We're going to be talking about what people are saying to their sphere once a quarter to get really great referrals. Ben is going to join us on a call. Chris is going to join us on a separate call. So we've got a really power-packed summer. And today I want to just go back to the basics of protecting your time and controlling your paycheck. That's like how I want you to think about prospecting in open houses. It's a way to protect your time and control your paycheck. So I've got 5 guests this morning. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to spotlight all of them on our screen so you can see all of their beautiful faces. I even see Kara like curled her hair. She was ahead of me this morning. I did not get to curl my hair, but Kara did. So that'll be great. I'm going to put them all up on Spotlight so you can see them. And we're just going to have a quick rapid fire mastermind with them to see what they're doing. And if you feel inspired to add prospecting back in or open houses back into your business plan, then I want you to know what they're saying, how they're saying it, how they're staying motivated, because they're busy as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let me find my people to spotlight. Boom. Oh gosh. Whoa. Hello. Hold on 1 second, girlfriend. Let me find my people. All right, here we go. Add spotlight. Whoa, there's more of you. I can't find all the people. Who am I missing? Oh, Jonathan, there you are. Oh gosh, I see you too. All right, add spotlight. Sharon, I should have given you this job. Sorry. I don't know why I'm doing it myself. Story of my life, guys. Story of my life. Who has a hard time delegating? Anybody? Am I the only one? All right, there's a few of you in there. All right. Okay, add spotlight. Good, good, good. All right, and let me see if I can add my spotlight here for a second. Now, just because I added them on spotlight and we can't see you guys as much, don't like go off and like into La La Land, like come back in here. All right, so a couple things. I want to introduce everybody. Okay, so I've got Kara up first. Let me write this down. If you're taking notes, you should be taking notes. I can't even imagine getting on a Ben call and not take notes, right? Kara, here's why I've got Kara on. She's winning with prospecting and open houses. If you want to write it down, in the last few months, her listings from prospecting have been $800,000 worth. That's $12,000 in net commissions. Buyers, $1.8 million worth that have closed and pended. That's about a $450 average per client. It's 27,000 net commissions. That's 39,000 guys just in the last few months. Net commissions, not gross, net. This is what's going in her bank account from open houses and prospecting. And that's like $7,800 a paycheck. So like that's a good paycheck, you guys. I don't know where you're from, but $7,800. If somebody wants to put $780 in my bank account, you can do it right now. But $7,800, I'll be even more happy. Daniel Weiser, you're up on my screen. Let me tell you about Daniel really quick. Daniel is not even from here. He's from Alaska, or a million other places, but $3.5 million in listings from prospecting in the last few months, averaging $435 a home. $48,000 in net commissions, you guys. I mean, just really, 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 really strong. I mean, that's a lot of money per paycheck, right? You got Jonathan Hand. He took $1 million in listings from prospecting, and $3.6 million in listings and buyers from open houses. Total of about $63,000 closed and pended from those two sources. Really, really good. I've got Akash on. Akash, you'll remember Akash because he's new to our team. He took 2.1 million in listings from prospecting, 2.1 million in listings from buyers and doing open houses. I love that because it's like $56,000 per total, from two sources, averaging like $9,000 a paycheck. Huge. And Rob, 3.9 million in listings from prospecting, guys. That's an average of 485, 58,000 in net commissions, which is really, really cool because he signed these, he's pending them, he's already closing them. That is, in San Antonio, his average is 290,000. So do you see what I'm saying about controlling the market and controlling your time? If your average is smaller where you are, like San Antonio with an average of 290, this guy's average right now on listings is 485. I want you guys to really get that. So let's start from the top. Let's start with the prospecting conversation, and we'll go to you, Kara, since you're up on my screen. When you're prospecting, definitely know open houses is more your jam, but just give us a quick spiel on when you're prospecting, who are you calling? What are you saying? Start off with that.
Okay. Yeah. So my two main sources of prospecting over the phone would be expireds and calling valuation leads. You want me to script on what I pretty much?
Yeah. What do you say? For all of us who even if we've done this before, whoever has gotten rusty because you stopped doing it for a little bit of time, right? I know you, even some of us are laughing because we know, yes, we all get like that. So if you were coaching us on okay, well, here's what I say, what would you say?
Sorry, my dog keeps ringing his bell. Okay. So for expireds, I essentially start with the regular expired script, hey, is this Adelina? I saw 123 Main Street was on the market, came off the market. What's going on with that property? Kind of going from there. I would say that usually what comes next is, you know, oh, I don't know. I didn't want to sell anymore. I wasn't going to get what I wanted for my house. And then what I usually say from there is like, what I typically do for someone in your situation is I'll come over, you know, do a walkthrough, see what upgrades you've made, and get you a better range of what you could get in this market, because a year ago or 2 years ago was a totally different market. And some people really don't know what their house is worth. And so they think they don't want to sell. Even the most unmotivated people think they don't want to sell, but as long as you can get in front of them somehow, even if it's with a market report, they're shocked by what their house is worth in this current market. So that's my main goal when I'm on the phone with expireds, and evaluation leads especially as well.
Okay, I like that. Get you a better range. Write that down. Get you a better range. Okay, of what it's worth, a walkthrough. So you're closing for a walkthrough. You're not calling it an appointment, you're calling it a walkthrough.
Yeah, mostly for the people that are unmotivated, I'll try and turn into more casual, like walkthroughs. I always think in my head, you know, I've been going on a lot of appointments and I haven't gotten as many listings as I've wanted, but I'm like, as long as I could get in front of these unmotivated people when they're finally ready to sell it, and as long as I keep following up, that it will, you know, come forward. And then
what kind of, okay, keep going. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say with valuation leads, I feel like I've been having a lot more luck with valuation leads because I feel like expireds are being just, you know, called and called and called. Valuation leads, I usually say the same exact, you know, just following up script. And then I add in, you know, the market report is just arranged. And then I try and sell the walkthrough, especially most of them that are unmotivated. And that has brought me a lot of luck, just, you know, pitching the walkthrough.
I love how you say it's brought you a lot of luck, and in reality, you're doing a lot of work. I like it. I like it. Go with it. Okay, so question for you: if you don't set the appointment, like, what does follow up look like? How do you make it like? How do you trick your brain into not being awkward when you have to call them again and follow up?
Yeah. So when I first started, which is funny to say because I haven't even been here a year, but when I first started, it really took a lot for me to like remind myself, you know, I'm being salesy. I'm so annoying. I would hate me if I was calling me, you know, but now I just like kind of have turned a switch in my brain where I'm like, I'm helping these people. I'm bringing them value. It's not like I'm just calling to like say what's up. I'm, you know, on Mondays, I always, no matter what, like, even if I don't want to make a damn call, after you give us like the market stats, I make sure that whether it's they answer their phone or I send a text or an email, I'm sharing the market stats with them. Because I did get my last valuation listing from literally just sharing the percentage of like difference of inventory on the market. And he was like, oh, wow. So what do you think I could get for my house then? And then it literally sold the appointment, got the listing. So I make sure that I'm using that information every single
I love that. Yeah. I love that. How do you keep yourself motivated doing this?
So in the beginning, I always thought it was motivation, and I would always like be messaging Casey and I'd be like, oh, I'm not motivated today. Something's wrong with me. But now I'm at the point where it's not about motivation. Today, I didn't want to get out of bed. I am not motivated. I probably won't even move from where I'm sitting right now. But I have goals for myself and I don't have an option. I don't have an option. This is my job. It's the same thing as if I was going to a 9-to-5 job. I don't have an option when I'm going to a 9-to-5 job. You know, can I just sit there and not do anything? Like, I don't give myself an option. I come from a place where I didn't have a lot of money and I didn't, you know, have a lot of things, and I have goals for myself now, and there's no option. So it's not motivation. It's just my life.
Yeah. Okay. I can understand that. I love that. Okay. We'll come back to open houses and we'll come back to you. Okay. I'll go to Rob. Rob, you have taken an ungodly amount of listings above your average price point, which is really, really cool. Like, what in the world is happening? Like, what do you attribute it to? Like, what are you doing? What are you saying?
Well, probably a couple things. One, I'd say that the volume of telephone calls is probably one of the things that's helped me the most. using the triplet dialer on Mojo is one of those things. I call expireds Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday without fail every morning. I time block a couple hours for it. If I don't do it, I feel absolutely terrible about it. It's one of those things where it nags at me if I don't get a chance to do it. So it stays top of mind the entire time. I do use some tricks when I do it. I occasionally will set a certain price point for the folks that I want to call, since there's about 1,000 people in there. So we'll set a minimum price point sometimes. If I don't do that and I get a voicemail or something like that, I will, instead of just dropping my automatic voicemail, I'll go ahead and leave a very personal message for them.
What would it say?
Well, basically what I'll do is I'll say, hey, Annalena, this is Rob. Saw that your home just came off the market. It's a little strange that in this market that it didn't sell. Just had a couple quick questions for you. If you wouldn't mind, give me a call back. My number is 210-361-5758. Please feel free to give me a call back as soon as you can, or something to that effect.
Okay.
And that always doesn't work. So then I kind of jump into the follow-up. And I'm very specific about the areas that I know that I want to be in. So I'm very diligent about following up in those specific areas. So because of where San Antonio is with our average price point, knowing the different neighborhoods, knowing what the different homes are going for, and then being able to talk to those folks has been most helpful for me.
Got it. And so let's say that you're doing like a regular call. Like, I mean, it's a Monday and you're probably not feeling like it every Monday, or maybe you are superhuman and you feel like it every single day. Okay. No. Okay. All right, cool. So you're like the rest of us. That's good. That's good. So it's a Monday, you're not feeling like it, but you're getting on your triple dialer, like, and what are like some of the responses? What are people saying? What's the typical response? Say?
The most luck that I've had has been in the homes that have just come off the market within the last couple of days. Those people are usually frustrated that their home didn't sell. So I'll just ask them some questions about, when your home was on the market before, I should say, I always start with having the script, the expired script up and running. I always have it on my iPad next to me, and I never kind of shoot from the hip. And it's one of the things that I think has served me well, because I do get rusty if I don't see it, even if I don't do it for a day. So it kind of reminds me all the questions. And then I change it a little bit depending on what I hear. But most of the time recently, it's been folks have been very frustrated that their home didn't sell. They hear how hard of a market it is. So one of the things I always tell them is I give them some of the market stats. I tell them a little bit about who we are as the team. I do mention, I said, well, one of the things that our team does is specialize at selling homes that don't sell the first time around. Usually, it's either price, how the home is presented, how the home is marketed. Why do you think your home didn't sell the first time? And then they'll give us a little bit of an explanation. And then I'll take it any way that they'll let me to go. Brandon taught me pretty early on to do the move the pennies, or the kind of the Post-it notes. I have all of my questions laid out. So if I get through at least 6 of the questions, I know that it's going to end up being a good telephone call. Luckily, I've gotten to the point now where I'm able to get through about 3 of the questions and then either set the appointment or be able to kind of get their information to nurture them. And so, but I still use that same methodology. I still go back to the basics every single time and do that in order to trick my brain into saying, okay, I did it. But the other nice thing about it is now I have little small wins. So you would ask about the motivation and how I do that every Monday and Tuesday. That's how it's those little things when I've been able to check those blocks. If I know that I get I'll say if I start at 9:30, okay, I'm just going to call till 10:30. I'll get that full hour of dialing in. If I get to 10:30, I can make it till 11. So it's those sorts of things.
Okay. I like that. So, okay. 2 follow-up questions I have. You can tell you're not going to set the appointment. How are you getting their contact information so that you can follow up?
It's the market report generally. What I'll end up doing is I'll tell them, hey, I know that, this is usually what folks' biggest investment, and you did have some motivation wanting to sell your home the first time around. do you know what the current homes are selling for in your neighborhood? And sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I'll say, well, you know, we offer a free monthly report that will tell you exactly what the homes go for when they come on the market. So if your neighbor Pete down the street puts his house on the market, you'll know what it's listed for. And then when it's sold, you'll know what it's sold for. So even if you're not in the mood to sell right now, if you're 6 months from now, you'll at least have a very good idea of what the market looks like. And then that usually works. I'll get their email address, set them up on the market report. And then I set myself the task in order to, and I set a recurring task to just follow up with them on a regular basis, just to check in. Hey, did you get that market report? 2, what did you think of that market report? And then I'll do like Kara, where I'll follow up with some market statistics. Hey, did you know that the average prices in this neighborhood have gone up by about $10,000 since the last time we talked, or something to that effect.
Okay, I like that. That's a good script, you guys. I hope you wrote it down. Did you know? Those did you know scripts are really, really good. Okay, so now we're on the phone and you think you might have a shot of setting the appointment. Like, what's your close method? Like, what's your go-to? I know, Karis, what is the walkthrough? How do you usually go about it to close someone for an appointment?
Yeah, so normally it comes across naturally. I say, well, commonly next steps are for me to come over, take a look at your house, sit down and explain a little bit about what the selling process looks like. I do like to tell you a little bit what the current market stats are. When is a good time for me to stop by? Do you have some time this evening? I could stop by about 4 or 5 p.m. or maybe tomorrow where at 5 works as well. And then I just kind of proactively just assume they're going to give me it at one of those times.
Okay, I like that. Assumptively closing. You're going to talk about the selling process and the current market stats. So it sounds very like this is not high pressure. I like it. I like it. I like it. What'd you do before getting into real estate, Rob?
I was in healthcare. I was a healthcare administrator.
Okay, healthcare. Awesome. Healthcare administrator. So I love the fact that we have such a diverse group on here. Lots of people seeing a lot of success. When you think of like somebody asked the question, did you start out with an area in mind or did you start out pretty broad and then funnel down? What was that like for you, Rob?
For me personally, I took the mantra of dominate your neighborhood to heart. So the neighborhood that I live in Helotes, and it's a nice neighborhood and there's some good priced houses here. So I dove in deep, just kind of understanding it, but it gave me a better idea of other neighborhoods to go into as well. But yeah, that was definitely it. It was dominate your own neighborhood that you live in your own zip code. Okay.
For all of you guys that are like, man, where do I even get started? It feels very overwhelming. Like, oh, prospecting already is overwhelming. Shoot, like, what do I do? Like, maybe you start with your own zip code or your own little radius, and it will give you confidence to cold call people that you may not know when you know the area. You got to know something, right? That'll make you feel better. Or like, if you're like Kara and you're like, well, shoot, man, I got to like get this thing going because I have no freaking choice. I better make some money. Like, maybe you don't have a choice of even like funneling down. Maybe your reality is freaking call people so you can make some money, right? So everybody's going to be a little bit different. And the answer is get into freaking activity, right? Control your time, control your market. Love those tips and tricks. I wrote down, increase your volume of calls. He calls Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for a couple hours. Like, if you need to set a price point to tell yourself, hey, like, listen, I'm only going to call properties over 300,000. Great. Like, no, great. Awesome. I love that. The 5 pennies, he used the just came off the market script, right? And he's calling fresh ones, guys. So like, if you're waiting like weeks and weeks, like, you know, you can definitely see success in that. Don't forget though, like those fresh ones have a lot of opportunity for you. Give you an idea of what it's worth. I like that script. We're going to talk about the selling process and current market stats. That's a good script, right? Dominate your area. I love that. Okay, let me see. Daniel Weiser, I see you on here. Morning, Daniel.
Morning.
Welcome to the club. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you. Awesome. Cool.
Perfect.
So tell us a little bit, like, are you also doing prospecting, or what's kind of your jive?
Yeah, so I love calling expires and withdrawals. Like, if I could call expires and withdrawals every day, that's the only thing I did for a little while until I realized I need to, branch out. So I love expires and withdrawals. I have it now.
Why?
I love working with sellers. Like, it's a blast. And the expired withdrawals, right? You're coming in with value because people are hurt, right? So it's like kind of a hero mentality, right? It didn't sell. Well, look what we can do, right? So I have it mapped out now to where I call expired withdrawals on Monday. I call FSBOs on Tuesdays, and I circle prospect on Wednesdays and Thursdays. So now with that different lead gen, I mean, I'm targeting sellers, right? But with switching it up like that, I've actually had more success, right? Not leaning into one lead gen source.
I kind of like that, right? Like he thinks he's switching it up, guys, but it's all prospecting, right? Yeah. So he calls expireds withdrawals on Mondays, FSBOs on Tuesdays, circle prospecting Wednesday and Thursday. Like everybody's got a method to their madness, right? The important part, like even if I were to ask like Valencia or Kyle or Veronica or Memo or Teresa, everybody's got like a certain style. I bet what everybody has in common who is successful is they get into activity and they try to do it as consistently as possible, right? And so like what we're trying to do is give you options of what's working for our people, but like the standard is do the work, right? So that you can control the market, control your time, control your price points. Daniel, what are you saying to these people? Anybody?
Yeah, so Monday is my favorite day. I get on the phone, hi, this is Daniel Weiser with the Ben Kinney Real Estate Team. I actually was just giving you a call because it looked like you had a property on the market. It looks like it came off the market, and I was curious what happened to that property. And then I just go to battle.
And then you go to battle. Okay.
Yeah, my goals every morning is to get in front of someone that afternoon, right? So everyone that answers the phone, I have it in my mind. If my schedule, is open, right? The goal is to get in front of that person that afternoon, right? And so I am just hammering that appointment until they either meet with me that afternoon or they meet with me the next day. So.
Okay, how do you keep your energy up for this? I mean, you're an energetic guy to begin with, but it can be a grind. Anybody on this call would say prospecting can feel like a grind. How do you trick your mind?
Yeah, so it's kind of a rush for me, kind of weird, but it's kind of a rush. I actually strangely enjoy it, but it is when I get on a call, really honestly, mirroring matching, right, is really big, and just focusing on mirroring and matching. And I have realized sympathizing, right, because when you're calling expires or withdrawals, right, obviously they had a bad experience, and so figuring out why and then sympathizing with them and then bringing in the value of what you can do differently in a very 2 sentence to try to land the appointment.
How do you great. So how do you move the conversation around? Obviously you're trying to get to the appointment. Meanwhile, what do you say like in that filler space to build enough rapport or whatever? Like what do you say past your first intro?
Yeah, for sure. So they'll give me a reason, and so they'll give me a brush off, and then I'll be like, just out of curiosity, why do you think it didn't sell, right? And they'll be like, because of this, and depending on, typically it's it was priced high, or there's different reasons, right? Obviously, it should have sold more there, right? And then I would just be, that's really unfortunate. Actually, we hear that a lot in this market. I never like to dog on independent realtors, but what our team is doing, right? And this is what we have to offer. So what I would love to do for you is just come by today at 2 to do a walkthrough, just to, if anything, just to shake hands, give you some information, and show you kind of what we're doing and how we're getting people top dollar in the least amount of time in this current market. I always come with shock as well. Like, wow, I'm really shocked that didn't sell in this market. That's not what we're seeing on our end, right? So kind of sympathize the shock factor, like, wow, that shouldn't have happened. Let me show you how you can do it differently. And I actually have, there's that whole script that says, when they're like, I don't want to commit. The other day I used the script, well, honestly, I don't want to commit either until I meet you. So let's go ahead and meet. And he's like, that makes sense. Let's go ahead and meet, right? And so bring in value, but also not feeling like, what do you call that? Commission breath, you know what I mean? Desperate, not coming across desperate, coming across as a professional.
Yeah, nobody likes commission breath. Yeah, nobody likes that. So that's perfect. That's perfect. So you sound really smooth right now. Like, I know, like, if I'm everybody hearing you right now, you sound pretty good. And I'm like, oh man, if I tried to get on a prospecting call right now, I would sound not like Daniel, not like Rob, not like Kara. So like, were you this smooth in the beginning? Like, what did your process look like?
Yeah, so my process, so I started in the middle of the pandemic, right? When, it was pretty intense. And I had this fear of talking on the phone in front of other people. Like, I've had it for forever, and I was sick and tired of it. So I actually had our coach Casey sit in the same room with me and listen in all my conversations, right? And he, brutally listened to me talking myself out of appointments, right? And he's like, no. Like, and it finally, when it eventually clicked, like, you're selling an appointment, you're not selling real estate over the phone. My conversations got super narrow, and I just started landing appointments, right? And that fear, once you say enough, what is that whole thing where you say it enough times to enough people, right? Yeah, that's honestly, like, if you're not on the phone every morning, hour after hour after hour, especially when you start, like, you will never get to the point where you're landing appointments because you won't get comfortable. And once you get comfortable, after a few months, suddenly, like, it's that hockey stick, right? And it's the hockey stick too, because you actually sound like a professional over the phone.
Daniel, you just made a really powerful point that you're selling the appointment. You're not selling real estate over the phone. Like, so often we get so caught up in defending all the objections and handling it all, et cetera. You're just getting the appointment.
Right on. Well said, Jordan. Well said. And I love that, Daniel. Like, what I want everybody to hear, like, the second, like, I saw you guys' faces, the second Daniel said, be on the phone hour after hour after hour. I mean, I saw some of your faces like drop, and you're like, you automatically were like, no, that's not going to happen. Here, let me give you background. When you freaking have a baby and a wife at home, you like need to like figure it out, right? Some of you need to figure it out, and some of you need to like actually like do the work to take the listings, right? Now, on the other side of this is Daniel is very clear that Daniel wants to have family time. How do you get to have family time? You control the market. The only way you control the market, guys, is through listings, right? Working with buyers is amazing. We like, obviously, what was the number? 370 buyers that we're representing right now. So obviously we're doing well with buyers, right? Like they're exhausting us as well, right? And they're also fun and exciting. But guys, like, listings is how you control your time, how you control the market, and you get to control your paycheck. So yes, Daniel, okay. You are not always like super duper motivated. Like, how have you, was there ever a time you wanted to quit?
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially in the beginning, right? In the beginning, you want to quit every day because you're like, this is crazy. Like, I have these people telling me a model works, right? But it's not working. So why am I doing this, right? And, for me, it took a little longer than normal, right? Especially since I live quite a bit out of town. Right. So, but it's just like, you do it until you can't do it. Right. You set a goal to where I can't, after this point, like, I physically, financially cannot do it. So you just throw yourself in there but it works. It's crazy.
Okay. I love that. So what I want you guys to hear is he had a goal. I call it like the 200% method. He said to himself, if by this time I'm not making it in real estate, I need to find a job. Like, I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but that's how I heard it. So meanwhile, I'm going to give 200% to what I'm doing. So then I know without a shadow of doubt that is like, I've given it 200%. If that's you, you got to give 200% and that's good. And I see so much success from it. Thanks so much, Daniel. You're awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm going to go to Akash, and then I'll go to Jonathan, and I'll go back to Kara. Akash, expireds. Prospecting, all of that stuff. Like, what is working for you? What's the gist of it?
So for me, I mean, circle prospecting, expired withdrawals are really, really big to me. So every day I try to call the expired and withdrawn list because, it's 200 people for this year. So it's a pretty easy thing to dial through every single day and try to get those dials. And then circle prospecting is very big for me. And the way that I'm seeing success with both of them is just sharing personal success and team success with everyone.
What is that? Like, what's an example of that? Like, if you had to like call Kara and tell Kara that, like, what does that sound like?
So the one that I'm pending right now in Cedar Park, I'm circle prospecting currently. And my script goes something like, just so you know, I'm helping out one of your neighbors sell right now. And the demand was so high for their home that we were able to get them 105 over list price, and it didn't even make it through the weekend. So those are the stories that people really latch onto. And that's where I believe that if you share success of your own success or your team's success, it's really helpful to people because they're able to see that you're actually doing these things in the market.
Okay, so find a story for people to latch onto. And I liked what you said, demand was so high. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so walk me through really quick. You came in as a new agent last November, never have done real estate. You sound really good to me right now. How did you get good?
Spencer and Amanda are definitely two of the big reasons why. I can't say this enough. There's been 3 to 4 times where I've gone to Spencer and I've been like, hey, there's something going on. Like, this was working for me last month. It's not working for me this month. Then we sit down, even the script I just said, yesterday I was calling people with my script for how I was wanting to circle prospect, didn't get anything. Sat down with Spencer, and he's the person who put in that exact thing. And the demand right now was so high for their home. And I scored a listing appointment yesterday off of it. So it's just sitting down with your team leads and scripting with them. They are definitely there to help you. And I mean, I'm going to take full advantage of that because it's very helpful.
Okay, so how are you so coachable?
You just kind of got to check your ego at the door. I have no problem with someone telling me, dude, you suck. No problem with it. Because then I'll be like, I'm hoping you're following that up with, you can do better by doing this. But yes, I 100% do not care if you tell me that I just did brutal. Feedback is so important to me because I like to build on myself in business and personally. So, I mean, I always try to check my ego at the door whenever I come into work.
Okay, I like that. And then when you're moving the conversation along, when you're prospecting anyone, how do you get them? How do you close for an appointment? What's your method?
So for me, it's kind of more relating to the success stories. It's like, hey, so I can kind of come over, check it out, and I can let you know what we need to do to be able to get you the same type of success we just had recently over here. Or if there's certain things that we might need to do differently to be able to market it for you to get the same type of success. So in their mind, they're just thinking, okay, this guy's going to come over and let me know what I need to do to kind of get a good amount over the list price. And that's something that I feel like is very powerful to people.
Okay, I like that. How do you keep yourself motivated through all of this? I see you're in an office with a lot of people. It's not like you have your own little private office, little corner suite anywhere, right? You've got people around you, you're in your first year, it's stressful. How do you stay motivated?
For me, it's a numbers game. It's the same thing like Ben said, saying the right thing, saying it to enough people. For me, I'm seeing that working. But the big difference that I've noticed is that you need to have a consistent attitude through your calls. So dial number 1 versus dial number 400, it needs to be the exact same script that you're using, the same attitude and everything. I cannot tell you, I've been on many days where I'm on dial 450 or 416, I've gotten nothing. And it's just, once I get to that point, saying it to enough people, I get something. It's
Okay.
just more about the consistent attitude for it, in my opinion.
I love it. I love it. I'll come back and we'll talk about open houses as we wrap up. Jonathan, I know you started out really strong with prospecting. What did that look like for you?
So definitely working with calling a lot of expireds, withdrawns, for sale by owners. I was going through Zillow, finding for sale by owners and just calling them up and set 2 listings from that.
So people are scared of calling for sale by owners. That's the number one thing people are they're more scared of for sale by owners than they are of expireds, by the way. Not that there's a lot of for sale by owners nowadays, but what do you say?
Yeah, so I think with a for sale by owner, it's really important to dig in and show them, well, first you have to uncover the fact that they're getting bombarded with calls by agents, by folks on Zillow, all over the place. So once you get to that point that they're like, hey, they'll admit it. They'll say, yeah, I get 100 calls a day. It's okay, interesting. Have you got any offers yet? Oh yeah, we got some lowball investor offers. Okay, interesting. And so then we can offer our services by saying, hey, listen, we can totally handle that for you. And we can also net you more money at the same time. And so you just constantly going back to what we're saying today, you got to push for the appointment. Let's just get in front of you and let's talk about this. Let me show you the numbers. and then go from there.
You're doing an extreme, like you've done an extreme amount of open houses, probably one of our top agents, if I looked right now, of open houses. I mean, just dozens and dozens and dozens, right? What have you found to be successful for you?
With regards to buyers?
Buyers or anybody that you're talking to at open houses, what would you tell us to do?
Offer value. We're on a team, and I'm an okay agent, right? I guess I'm a good agent, but I'm no different than anyone else that's on this call. So I just put in the time, put in the effort, do the open houses. It's like Akash just said, it's a numbers game, right? So if you do 1 or 2 open houses a weekend versus doing 4 or 5 open houses a weekend, then your numbers are increased, right? And so I had plenty of open houses where nobody came, but I've also had plenty of open houses that I learned from those ones that nobody came, and I had to figure out like how to find the open houses that make sense for my business model, and find ones that are going to have volume. Just with regards to like talking, like just pouring on them value just right there in front of them at the open house. Like, yeah, great. If they love the house that they're walking through, awesome. If they want to make an offer on it, great. I can help you with that. But if it's not the right fit, well, then let me show you how my team can help you find the right fit. Let me show you how we can help you win in this market. Let me show you how our lender partners can really help you win and save a lot of money.
Question for you. So when you say like picking open houses for my business model, what does that mean to you?
Obviously we want fresh listings, right? Like we want something that just hit the market, which here in Austin, that's pretty easy to do, right? Because everything's fresh because things only last like 4 days. But finding an area that you want to focus and grow your business in, if you want to be that neighborhood agent and like dominate a zip code, then do your best to network with other agents in that area. If you're a listing agent yourself, then run your own open houses. If you're not, then build partnerships with agents that whenever they need somebody to host, you're their go-to.
Okay, so he said something very important, guys. So if you're gonna like find an area, like say, your zip code, get to know all the agents in that area and become their go-to person for open houses. Is that what you are saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I get, there's a lot of times I get reached out to do open houses and they just come to me like, hey, we need somebody. This is going to hit the market on Friday. Here's the price point. Are you interested? And it's, yes or no.
It's like a come list me for an open house, right? But you get to rent that listing for the weekend. Remember, guys, what you're doing with open houses is you are renting a listing for the weekend, and you get to control the price of that listing by choosing the open house that you want people to come into, right? As you're in these open houses, Jonathan, and people are talking to you, are there some go-to lines that you're like adding value with, anything like that?
Yeah, I'm definitely talking about BKCO mortgage, like, hey, and that kind of comes to the end, like as we're going through our LP Mama, like obviously location, okay, they want to be in North Austin. Price point, we discussed that. From the price point, we're trying to figure out, okay, so how did you get to that price point? And they'll be like, oh, we already have a pre-approval. Okay, cool, good. If they're like, oh, well, we just, we're running numbers. Okay, well, have you thought about getting a pre-approval? And they're like, well, yeah, it just seems like a lot of work. Well, honestly, it's super easy. So let me connect you with our loan officer. Literally, we can have a pre-approval back within 24 hours. And then a big thing is the off-market opportunities, right? And just the work that our team does to identify those properties or pre-MLS markets, or listings. And that really catches a lot of people's attention, because I've had current clients that I've recently closed that they have an agent, right? And I'm not going to steal anyone from another that has an agreement signed to somebody, but there's plenty of people that say they have an agent and really they just met another agent in an open house and they have them on an auto feed sending properties, and they're not actually out there showing them properties. So I just try to get in front of them as soon as possible. Say, okay, great. Let's go look at some properties tomorrow and see which ones you like and what you don't like.
Oh, I like that close. Boom, right on. Here's my last question, because the reason people don't do open houses once they get successful, and all of you guys, I can see your imaginary hands go up. You get successful and it's so easy not to do open houses. Like right? You write a business plan in October and then it says you're going to prospect, it says you're going to open house. And then, obviously, you see some success, mostly in the form of buyers that you're helping, right? Like, to be clear, right? How would you coach us to keep our energy up as much as possible for open houses? Like, how do you, what's your methodology on this overall?
I think, we're all building long-term businesses, but we also need short-term business, right? We need quick business to keep us going. The reason I love open houses is because if those people are coming through, they're ready to, for the most. Sorry, I had some feedback. They're ready to buy.
There you go.
Okay. That means they're ready to buy. And so you can literally, I've had open house folks that I've had under contract within 5 days of first time meeting them, just because they were there, they had no direction, they had the money, we got them through the pre-approval, and we just kind of ran with it from there. And so it can be a really, really quick, income source. Within, sometimes 35, 40 days, you can have a paycheck.
Okay, so I want everybody to hear that. If you don't have, you remember, I just told everybody our average right now is what, 4 pendings per agent. If you're not one of those people that has 4 pendings right now, we just talked about prospecting, we just talked about open houses. These are people who have already raised their hand that they need help, or you can find a story that they can latch onto so that you can help them, right? Kara, Kosh, Rob, anybody have any other pointers on open houses? Open houses. What else would you say?
I really just love open houses because I prefer open houses obviously over making calls, but usually the calls lead to sellers. But people are literally coming because, just like Jonathan said, because they're interested in real estate, they're literally coming to you instead of you calling and reaching out. Why wouldn't you want to do open houses? So
okay, well, I'll tell you why. Because the last 3 open houses, Kara, that I've done in my imaginary world, that's kind of real of what I hear people say. I had people come through, but they all had agents, or I had a couple people, but nothing came out of it. What would you say to me?
Everyone says they have an agent, but it really just depends on kind of just to piggyback off what Jonathan said, but in my own words, people say they have agents. Are they signed with that agent? Are they putting that agent's name down on the paper or their name down? I always try to talk about a story crazy market, but luckily I just got my clients in with an off market. Off market? What's that? Why isn't my agent sending me that? And then it kind of I always get a text 3 days later from those people that had an agent. Oh, hey, so how you talked about off market? Do you think you could find anything? Oh, suddenly they don't have an agent anymore. It's just get everyone's information, reach out, even if they say they have an agent. Thanks for stopping by. Let me know if I could help in any way in the future. Probably will reach out to you if you mention what you can bring that their current agent obviously isn't bringing.
I love that.
Yeah.
Akash?
Then to add on to that, just the off-market thing is the biggest leverage that I'm using in my open houses, and it helps me in a few ways. So the script I use when people are about to walk out, because they'll register on my Brivity website, I'll see their phone number and their email address, and I'll be able to see on my phone this is fake. So I'll really just go through all of it, and then I'll be right before they're getting ready to go, I'm hey, just curious, do you get access to off-market properties? And then everyone says no. And then I follow that up with saying, so we have a large access of off-market properties that I send to my clients every single week. And then I always follow that up with, and I'm going to let you in on a little secret right now. According to the title companies, about 50% of the properties that are being sold are only being listed on the MLS. So if you don't have access to off-market properties, then you're going to be losing out on half of the houses that you could be winning on. And then that gets you 2 things. That's going to cast doubt on their agent right away, being why am I not getting this? And then 2, you can follow it up with, is this your email address and your phone number? Because then I can send you some of this later. And then that's when you find out, they'll be oh, I'm sorry, I must have mistyped it, basically. And then you get the real information.
I love that. I hope everybody wrote that down. This is, I thank you guys for letting me do this quick fire panel. It's been a while since we've done a panel like this, really mega camp style, if you will, right? Really appreciate that. I hope everybody wrote down some things. I mean, I took a page of notes, and I don't even do open houses or prospect for listings. So I'm sure that if your entire paycheck is dependent on like finding another seller or finding a buyer who is capable of buying in today's market at a price point that you're willing to work for, because let's be real, everybody's a buyer right now, but not everybody is at a price point where you're excited and not exhausted, right? You can be exhausted and excited, right? Like right now, if I said, hey, Jonathan, I've got an $800,000 buyer for you, all of a sudden that exhaustion feels a little bit better, right, Jonathan? Because that's not a bad payday, right? Like, that's a 12 grand net income day, right? Like you're like, okay, let's go, right? We're all in that boat. Guys, I'm excited. Couple updates I have for you. Number one, we have a guy, his name is Brian Williams. Brian Williams now serves a market that we've never had before, College Station. So if you have people for College Station, we've got somebody within our network now that can serve our College Station referrals, which is very exciting. So that's a win for us, that they will get the same level of service that you guys would give, except if it's not your area. And then next Thursday, Ben and Debbie DeGroat with Ford Coaching is doing a conference called Built How. And it's basically kind of like this, where they have specific topics. It's nice because it's digital. So if you only need to listen to a couple of them, you just plug in at that time. So if you're interested in that, send me a quick email and I'm happy to get that over to you. And then we are getting ready to get to the end of the like second quarter, halfway mid-year. So if you haven't already, get with your team lead, get with your coach, get with the accountability partner, right? And like figure out where you are for the midway point. You should be halfway through your goals. Here's what I'm going to say. Unpopular opinion. Most people want to change their goal right now, which you have the right to do. I would also, if I was Ben right now, if he was in my head and telling me what to say, what he would want me to say is it that your goal needs to change? Or is it that you actually need to match the activity to the goal? The reality is your goal, like all of these guys that we talked to today, like they've been here like a year or less than a year, right? So there's so much success on the other side of following your business plan, doing the activity, right? And like being serious enough about what you want to achieve that you're going to actually do it, right? So anyway, it's a good summer that we have coming up. You guys are clearly making good money doing it, and you have a lot of pendings coming up. So it's exciting. We will see you again next week and the next week and the next week and the next week. And it'll be fun. We'll have a good summer, and we'll just go help a lot of people. Thank you guys. Have an awesome time. We'll see you next time. Bye guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, rock stars. That was amazing.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.